Hi friends, this is Lauren with Shabby Chic Sunday. If you've been here before, then welcome back. I have saved your seat at my craft table. And if you're new, then warmest welcome to you. Today we are making a full flower box crate using images by Shabby Art Boutique that have been printed onto tissue paper. The specific digital collection that I am using is Rosewood from the craft room. I absolutely adore this kit, and it just makes me crave spring and the smell of fresh flowers, even though we are in the heart of winter right now here in Michigan. I am very excited that you're here to join me, and I know that Sunday the kitty is too. So let's go ahead and get started. The materials that we are going to use include tissue paper, a regular sheet of paper, I'm just using plain copy paper, tape, scissors, and then a sponge brush, which looks like this, or even a little paintbrush, whichever you prefer. And then some Mod Podge. I'll be using matte, and a box. And I have a couple different ones to choose from. All supplies are from the Dollar Tree, and the materials for this project cost $6. To begin, we first need to prepare our tissue paper to be able to send it through the printer. I'm going to iron out the crinkles and folds with my iron set to one of the lowest settings. As you may expect, it doesn't take a lot to iron out such a thin consistency. Honestly, this step isn't even completely necessary, but mine has been folded many different ways in a storage container for a very long time, and I am worried about the excessive folds getting jammed in my printer. I now want to grab my sheet of copy paper, and I'm going to use this double-sided tape to tape all 4 edges, getting as close to the edge as I possibly can. If you don't have double-sided tape, you can easily use Scotch tape and just wrap it over the sides of your paper. Once everything is taped down, you may see some ripples. Don't worry about those. The first few times I did this, it really caused me to fret about all of the ripples and the waves, and I put it through my printer anyway, and it was completely fine. I'm going to go ahead and flip this over so the tape side is down and press onto my tissue paper. I'm going to use my scissors to cut carefully right along the edge to make sure I don't have any tissue paper hanging over the sides, because this may cause difficulty when I print. The paper is just going to act as the carrier through the printer for the tissue paper. You could use cardstock if you prefer, but something as simple and light as copy paper will be just fine. And since you don't use this page for any other purpose other than helping to feed the tissue paper through the printer, you don't want to waste a nice piece of cardstock. So when you're ready to load it into your printer, if you're using a bottom tray feeder, you're going to place the tissue paper face down. And here is what it looks like when it is all printed. I chose 2 pages from the digital collection Rosewood by Shabby Art Boutique, and now that it's printed and the ink is dry, I'm now going to grab my scissors again and cut off the part where the tape is attaching my paper to the tissue so I can separate the two. This is the crate that I will be covering in tissue paper that we just printed using Mod Podge. I'm using matte finish. Gloss will work just fine too. The only difference is that gloss will have a shine to it once it is dry. You can use a sponge brush or a paintbrush. I'm going to start off using a paintbrush to cover the crate with the glue. Then I'll grab my tissue paper and I'm going to lay it across and press down lightly with my fingers just to rub out any wrinkles and make sure it's adhered in all places. I also want to fold over just across the top of the crate, so I'm going to apply a thin layer of glue here and press down to seal. Since I'm not waiting for dry time, I'm going to use my rotary cover to remove the excess paper. If it were dry already, you would be able to easily rip away the extra paper. But since I am doing mine right here on camera and it is still wet, this is going to be the easiest way to get a clean cut. For the other side, the paintbrush was just way too small and unnecessary for such a large portion, so I'm going to change it up and use my sponge brush. Again, choosing where I want my image and pressing down gently to remove any crinkles or air bubbles. I'm just going to spread this out. And then I'm going to do the top edge again. I'll use my small brush to get in the tight crease here. You'll notice on this side, I end up changing the image that I originally printed. I had planned to use the sage green gingham, but I changed my mind and I want to use this sheet instead because for one, I cannot resist papers with script, and for two, I thought that the yellowish cream tone here was a perfect complement to the other page that I had used. I'm really not concerned with the handle holes on the side of the crate. I'll be able to cut right through those after I apply my tissue paper. I have a little bit of difficulty here getting the image to sit exactly how I want it, but I can easily lift it up to rearrange a couple of times. Using my Cricut tool, I can poke a hole here to cut out the handle. And there we go. Here are our 4 covered sides. The next step is not totally necessary, but recommended. Since we are using thin tissue paper, the original bottom coating of the Mod Podge is really all that's necessary to keep everything held down, but I am applying a thin coat of the Mod Podge to the top just to add an extra seal to everything, specifically the edges and the corners. If you're using paper of any weight, definitely do this step, but be sure to apply lightly only once the base is completely dry. And do not continue to brush over the same place as you can tear and create air bubbles. And this is what we have. I really love the script writing because it reminds me of stamping that you would see on the side of an antique crate. I'm not going to worry about covering the inside because we are filling the entire crate with flowers and you won't be able to see it anyway. So I'm going to leave it as is. And what I'm going to use is some of this white tulle to fill the bottom first in order to help the flowers appear more bountiful. And I want to use this scrap of vintage lace just to drape it over the side corner, just to add a nice little detail. I have a piece of fence that I thought I could fit in somewhere, and these are the flowers that I've selected, some lavender and some cream paper roses. All of these are from Michael's craft store, and I found the best deal is to purchase a small garland and then cut the flowers from the garland rather than buying their individual flowers. You'll get a lot more for the price too, and then you can save for another project. So I'm just stuffing these in here. Nothing is glued down as of yet, so I can make sure I'm content with the placement. You could leave it unglued so that you could even change out the flowers depending on the season, or use hot glue at the bottom tips of the flowers to stick to the tulle at the bottom. I like these little baby breath pieces, but unless they're clumped together, they look too sparse. I think I'll put the fence right inside. Originally, I was going to use it on the outside of the box, but I like the idea of it tucked into the crate because it looks like it's an actual field of wildflowers behind the fence. I want to add some of the fussy cut elements to the front of my box. There are quite a few different word labels in different colors. I think I'll use the word lavender and a white rose or two so that it describes the florals that we chose for inside of our crate. And there we have it, our completed project. So it's so easy and it only requires a few cheap materials. Thank you all for being here with me today. I have enjoyed making this with you. I think I'll put it on my kitchen shelf to prepare for spring. I will see you all soon. Until then, take care.